Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Beth Hassett Sabbath Fellowship. We are virtual only. We're based out of St. Paul, Minnesota. The phone number does work if you'd like to contact me. Of course, for Beth Hassett, we do the philosophy of eschatology, what you need to know, your reality, our existence. We study Revelation. And we try to solve Revelation, solving for X, solving for Y, solving for Z, whatever we can solve each session. We're trying to solve the blood moon eclipses that are due in a few years here, plus the micronova that seems to be predicted from scientists right now. And how will we know when the sixth seal would occur? Well, it seems to be biblical. So let's look through the Bible and try to make sense of all of this. I want to point out that I live near Hudson, Wisconsin. I used to worship over there. I love the people over there. And so they saw pink aurora borealis just the other day here. That's amazing. That means things are changing. That means that our ozone layer, our magnetosphere is thinning. That also means that we're having solar activity, just X-class flares, things like that, but they shouldn't be penetrating this deeply. We should only see green, say, or some other colors. So green means that it's hitting primarily the oxygen layer. Pink is hitting nitrogen, and that's only 60 miles up or even lower than that. So that's a very that's penetration, guys, okay? So I'm recording on February 19th, so we're expecting to see this X-class flare hit us, and so basically we should see auroras, we should see other things occurring. We might see some earthquakes as a result of it. So you can see the CME X flare on the left-hand side in the Soho look. And then you can also see the comments about Dr. Alex Young saying, here goes the sun, and it's X 2.3 or 2.2, whichever one. And so you'll have a radio blackout. You'll have other signs, okay? And then you should see something. You should see at least some simple aurora borealis, but you might see some pink, and that might be getting close to home. So the lower right-hand side is actually from Hudson, Wisconsin, close by to me. And I'd love to see that. I live right by the river, so I can't take my boat out, but I can go up to the boom site and I can look out and see things from up north, because there really is no development north of the boom site in Stillwater, Minnesota. So it's very dark and it's wonderful, and that's where I blow my shofar. So this video today, you'll appreciate Ben Davidson, a little bit of other people, but basically Ben runs Suspicious Observers, and he is the guy that really gives me some incredible information. And so he does catastrophe studies and things like that. And Randall Carlson on the right-hand side there is an older gentleman that has helped Ben figure out what's going on and has studied these things, these different periods where you have, say, every 12,000 years, you seem to have some disaster affect the world. Well, we're due for one right now. Thank you, Randall, for that information, and Ben, too. So, yes, here it is, the 12,000-year cataclysm cycles, and that's Ben's picture on the left-hand side. So the solar system shift is happening, and so we'll be citing his information today. Thank you, Ben, and Suspicious Observers, for what's going on. We will be observing what's going on based on his comments. The other gentleman that I'd like to thank is Mark Biltz. I found him in 2008, 2009, when he was coming up with the idea that these blood moon eclipses occur and it matters, and they do, because the sixth seal cites a blood moon eclipse of a full moon. So he's a brilliant man. I love him dearly. He's kind of a mentor to me. Josh Elsom is another person that I could cite too. I didn't cite him on this slide, but Mark and Josh kind of got me looking for certain patterns that match up with blood moon eclipses or eclipses in general. So what are we looking for? We're looking for signs of the sixth seal, and then also eventually increasing signs of the 16th chapter of Revelation. The sixth seal is obviously in Revelation 6. So we'll see, it's my estimation and Ben's estimation and others, it's biblical, our observable micronova sequence. The sun is yellow, then white, then it turns red, then it turns black. The micronova occurs at the black. And then you'll see a huge dust explosion that looks like little figs that envelops the earth, but it really won't kill anybody. You'll just be aware of it, and the rich and the poor will want to head for the caverns of the earth. And so this is a video from Ben citing the end of an age and how you'll see this micronova, and there's enough information now to prove that micronovas are real and they're part of the process. So what are we looking at right now? We're looking at the Bible, especially Revelation chapter 6. We're looking at prophecy, and we're looking at the news to see if it makes sense. And we're observing things in a scientific sense. And I'm telling you that we're in the birth pangs. Seal 1, based on Zechariah 6 directions, should be the fall of Western civilization. And if you see people with their hands on the throats of other people, that's the fall of Western civilization. Seal 2 was started by Bush Cheney. That seems to be around 9/11 of 2001. And when east of Jerusalem, everything started falling apart because they invaded all those countries and really started the Arab Spring and other problems. Seal 3. That would be food prices. You're noticing that. Well, if you lived in a normal part of the world, you would be hungry and starving, and it's going to get worse. That's Seal 3. Seal 4, and that opened in 2012 during the summer. Seal 4 seems to be due right now. I don't know that, but that would be death. 4 different ways that cause death, and that's actually the name of that particular spirit is Thanatos, which is death. Seal 5 is martyrdom. Seal 6 is what we're talking about today. We're years away from it, but the signs are starting to explode. So you need to start talking about it. Then you would go into the tribulation, then the great tribulation, 3.5 years for each one of those, and you'll have the 2 witnesses show up, and you'll have other signs and things like that. So the trumpets would occur during the tribulation, and then the great tribulation would be just the bowls, according to my theories. So let's look at a book from Alan Aslan Hart, and he is not a believer, but it matches with the Bible and Ben's research. So and I can't cite Ben easily, but I can cite this. So I'll just read it to you. At the end of my first book, and yeah, of course, it's pagan and shamanic, this journey, I warned that the train is on the tracks. There was a strange way to leave it, but within a few decades, we will see a micronova of our sun, reversal of the magnetosphere, unlocking of the crust, and the tilt in the earth, tsunamis that sweep across the continents, major earthquakes, volcanoes, and an extinction level event of 10 to 50% of the species. Human civilization will be hit hard because of our vulnerability due to extreme dependence on our technology, especially electricity. This book, Surviving the Micronova, The Train is on the Tracks, is critical for our time period. The North Pole is nearly in Siberia. It was heading the other direction. It was heading towards North America, but now it's heading towards Siberia and Russia. It's still in the Arctic Ocean, headed for the Bay of Bengal. The South Pole has left Antarctica, headed north. The first horseman of the apocalypse, according to him, is the sky, the brilliant white sun. It used to be yellow. Now it's white. Next, the sun will turn red, then black. At that point, you will have 17 hours to seek shelter. That's Revelation chapter 6, verse 7, verse 12-ish. Okay? Some experts say it will happen in the next decade or two. Time for people to prepare or not. The site is blackgold.org. Continuing on with this quotation from this book, the outer planets have already started their journey through the galactic current sheet, and Pluto lost its atmosphere. Weather on Neptune has reversed, winds on Venus have increased, and in the red spot of Jupiter, X-rays and radio signals from Mars show increased seismic activity. Our sun has begun the initial stages leading to the accumulation of a shell that will eventually be blasted. That's that X flare, okay, micronova. Be blasted our way in a micronova. The magnetosphere of the sun is changing, increasing helium on the corona and solar wind. The increase of interstellar dust signals we are now in the galactic current sheet. Nearby stars that follow us in the journey, the Proxima Centauri and Barnards, have flared or are becoming more active. The last one was 12,000 years ago. We may or may not understand the stories from the time of Göbekli Tepe at the beginning of the current human civilization, but we will get a close-up and personal experience this time. We'll see it. Okay, so he's correct in terms of there are scientists that are researching this and finding these 12,000 time frames. 12,000 years ago, 24,000 years ago, 36,000 years ago. We're due right now for some of these things to occur. And Ben concurs, and so do other men, and other people rather, that are doing the research on this. So let's look at the Bible now and compare and contrast what you just read from a man that isn't, he calls himself a shaman, okay? Then I watched as he broke the 6th seal. And there was a great earthquake, a micronova, that unlocks the crust and the mantle breaks free. the sun turned black. Now keep in mind, there's a process that I just mentioned to you where it goes from yellow to white to red to black. And and so it's not an eclipse. It's not. It's a final stage of that micronova. And it turns as sackcloth worn in mourning. And the full moon, yes, it is Olo in the Greek, so it's a full moon, became blood red. So it's biblical, became blood red. The next one that's due is Adar 14, which is March 14th of 2025. So we've got a 2-year respite. Now, it might not be that exact time when you'll see this occur, where you'll have the micronova attaching to the blood red moon, the eclipse, so to speak, but the next one is due March 14th of 2025, which is also Purim. The stars fell from heaven to earth. That's the micronova dust production event. Okay, that's just standard with any micronova. You will have a dust production, and it will come in and it will look like figs as a fig tree drops its bitter winter figs. So March 14th is the perfect time because it would be during the winter. And biblically speaking, that's when the fig tree drops those bitter winter figs. When shaken by a strong wind, the sky receded like a scroll. Okay, the magnetosphere has been thinning, is thinning. It's thinned. It's probably at 25% thinning right now, and thinning much faster than we've ever anticipated. So it receded like a scroll, being rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved from its place. That's Revelation 6:12 through 14. Continuing on in Revelation 6:15 through 17, then the earth's kings, the rulers, the generals, the rich, the mighty, indeed everyone, slave and free, hid himself in caves and among the rocks and the mountains, and said to the rocks and the mountains, fall on us and hide us from the face of the one sitting on the throne and from the fury, that's Orge. There's Themos and there's Orge. In this case, it's Orge of the Lamb, Yeshua. This is proof that the rich and the poor will be aware of the sixth seal. They'll look at it and say, fall on us and hide us from the Lamb. And so they'll be aware, for the great day of their fury, that's Orge again, has come, and who can stand? Okay, let's look at some more verses that match with this concept. Here comes the day of Adonai, full of cruelty, rage, hot fury, desolate the earth, to desolate the earth and destroy the sinners in it. For the stars, the constellations in the sky, will no longer give their light. The sun will be dark, possibly black. It doesn't say that there, but just dark when it rises, and the moon will no longer shine. I will punish the world for its evil and the wicked for their iniquity. I will end the arrogance of the proud and humble the insolence of the tyrants. I will make humans rarer than gold, scarcer than Ophir's pure gold. This is why I make the heavens tremble, and the earth will be shaken from its place at the wrath of Adonai Tezvaot in the day of his fierce anger. That's Isaiah 13:9 through 13. Continuing on, a little bit more from Isaiah, and really what we're talking about is this magnetic anomaly where you've got a dent in the magnetosphere, in the ozone layer down in the southern hemisphere, just off the coast of South America. And so in the Atlantic, of course. And so this is the ESA and other NASA too saying, yes, this is occurring. It's the weakening of the Earth's magnetic field, and so you'll see that now in Isaiah 24:17 through 21. Terror, pit, and trap are upon you, you who are living on the earth. He who flees at the sound of terror will fall into the pit. He who climbs up out of the pit will be caught in the trap. For the windows above have opened. That's the ozone layer, the magnetosphere is opening, and it will open more. The earth's foundations shake. Yes, you'll get earthquakes as a result of that. The earth cracks and breaks open. The earth crumbles to pieces. The earth trembles and totters like a drunk. It staggers to and fro like a drunk, sways back and forth like a watchman's shelter. Its transgression weighs heavy upon it. It will fall and not rise again. When that day comes, Adonai will punish the armies. This is a weird phrase, guys. This is Isaiah 24:21, where he says, I will punish the Zavah, Ha-Marom, Ba-Marom. So of the Marom, they're of this area above the earth, but in the Marom. So they are these weird fallen angels that are sitting, hanging out. They're the watchers, okay? And also the Melachim, the kings of the earth on the earth. So yeah, you're going to have God punishing them at the same time these windows are opening and the earth is shaking and tottering, and that's polar shift and things like that. So that's what's happening as we move forward. Another set of verses from Isaiah 34. 2 through 6, for Adonai is angry with every nation, furious with all their armies, has completely destroyed them, handed them over to slaughter. Their slain will be thrown out. The stench will rise from their corpses. The mountains will flow with their blood. The whole host of heaven will decompose. The heavens themselves will be rolled up like a scroll, and their array will wither away like a withering grape leaf that falls from a vine, or a withered fig from a fig tree. For my sword has drunk its fill in heaven. Now it descends to Edom to judge them. The people I have doomed to destruction. There was a sword that belongs to Adonai. It was filled with blood, gorged with fat. Yeah, there you go. So now that's about it for verses. We're going to cite an odd verse that you probably never really thought about in this context. So we're going to go to Revelation 7, 16 through 17. So if you live long enough to get into the Great Tribulation, so you get through the 6th seal and the 7th seal, we will, hunger no more. Yeah, true. Nor thirst. And then 3, the Shemesh, the sun, will strike them. And 4, the scorching heat. So basically what God is getting at is, if you go through into the Great Tribulation, you will hunger, thirst, the sun will strike you, and there will be scorching heat. And all the way through, basically the picture on the left shows the 4th trumpet. Not trumpet, but bowl. And so it shows the people being scorched. And that's what's expected. You'll get a taste of it in the 6th seal, but then you'll get a horrible taste of it in the 4th bowl. So because the Lamb, and he lists the verses here. This is from the Orthodox Jewish Bible. At the center of the throne will shepherd them and lead them, Makor, Ma'im, Kaim, so into the living waters, the fountain, the source of living waters, and God will wipe away every tear, will wipe the tears of their eyes. And so that's Revelation 7:16. So basically, if you survive through the 6th seal and get all the way to the 4th bowl, there will be hunger, thirst, the sun will strike you, and there will be scorching heat. That's what you have to look forward to. Now, we're going to talk more about the timing of the blood moon eclipses. We remember back to 2014, 2015, we had them, and they were there. You saw the blood moon eclipse listed in the 6th seal. So let's look at the next one that's due. Since the sun turning black coincides with the full blood moon eclipse, the earliest date for the 6th seal is really, according to Wikipedia, the next total lunar eclipse, and therefore the next blood moon will be March 13th and 14th, which is Adar 14, which is, I'm sorry, I'm blanking out. It's 2025, but it's Purim. So that's the next one that could potentially happen. And if it coincides then with the sun turning black, we would be going into the 6th seal. Okay, that means you can't go into the tribulation week this year. So 2023 is out of the question. 2024 is out of the question. The birth pangs will increase these years, but the final 7 years won't begin this year. Okay, so once again, we've already had our blood moon eclipse of November 8th, and that would mean that you could potentially go in, if there happened to have been a solar outburst, one of these micronovas. And there wasn't one on November 8th of 2022. There was an election. Maybe that was just as bad. The bug-out plan to survive 7 years long. So basically what I'm telling you to do is think about finding a cave. You'll brace it if you could, especially the entrance. Watch and wait for a micronova to coincide with the blood moon eclipse, and then you would notice things like unlocking the cross staff to that, and there would be global earthquakes. You would wait outside the cave during the micronova. You'd see it, but it wouldn't affect you. It wouldn't. The particles wouldn't hit for about 17 hours, but then you would want to run inside. Once the scorching solar particles dissipate, run back outside to watch the frightening tiny space dust show and wait for aftershocks. It will be survivable. The 6th seal is survivable. I'll give you some more evidence in just a minute. So once again, the process is that our sun was yellow. For many years, when I was a kid, the sun was yellow. As the magnetosphere thins, the ozone layer thins, you will notice that the blue is scattered away and the sun appears kind of reddish or yellowish or whatever else, less blue scattered. So basically, it's looking more white right now, and it's the same sun. If you didn't have a magnetosphere, didn't have an ozone layer, it would be white, but it looked yellow years ago when I was a kid. Then it will go red. It will not be a smoky red. It will be a red from leading up to the micronova. Then when it goes black and it has more solar activity the whole way up, then you know, watch for that particular blood moon eclipse, whichever one it happens to be. And we'll discuss that more. So once again, as you see the auroras pick up, you should see that at first, when an aurora kind of bounces off the oxygen level, oxygen molecules up high, that you'll get certain colors like reds and things like that. Then you'll get blues a little bit down below from nitrogen, a little bit of nitrogen, but more oxygen. Then eventually it hits the green level, which is oxygen molecules, but then eventually it hits nitrogen and it goes pink, and that's the lowest level, and that means it's right above your head. So this is standard stuff. The flares happen all the time, either X or M or C. So keep in mind that an X is serious and the M is medium and the C is a lower level and probably survivable, obviously survivable. X can be serious at times, and we're going into what shouldn't be that serious with our X 2.2, but the problem is it could be because our magnetosphere is thinned. Okay, so that's the solar wind that comes in and the charged particles, and they enter through the poles, and then we get to see the beautiful aurora. Okay, so once again, the signs are that you'll see the earthquake, the sun turns black, the moon turns blood red. It has to be full. You will see the dust particles come into our area here, and the sky will be rolled up, and the mountains and islands will move. They'll move, they won't remove, and that is the sixth seal. That's the Orgay Wrath. So find a cave, stock it up, eclipse, camp outside the cave, wait for the earthquake, watch the black sun for brilliant signs of micronova, observe the lunar eclipse, run inside the cave. You've got 17 hours. Fig-like meteorites will shower outside the cave because the aftershocks, you want to be outside the cave for the aftershocks, obviously. It will look like this, like the Leonid meteor shower from 1833. It was brilliant and beautiful, and people figured that's it, Jesus is returning. And so 3 groups happened to notice that, and they kicked off their big campaigns of the end times. But it wasn't the end. It wasn't. Obviously, it was 1833, and we're still here. But that's the Leonid meteor shower of 1833. That was November 12th and 13th. So once again, these are the biblical signs. These are some of the verses. You can pause if you'd like to look through the verses, make notes if you want to. There are people out there saying, no, there is no such thing as a solar micronova. No, it is. This Phil Plate is wrong. There are micronovas, and the sun would look blackish like this as the rope-like filaments would break off at the end. It's more like a crust breaking off at the end. It's biblical, and it coincides with a lunar eclipse, as you know from reading the Bible. So keep in mind the magnetic North Pole is moving. The geographic North Pole is not, but the magnetic is, and we generally cite our airports off that. So keep in mind it was moving towards Canada, and now it's moving towards Siberia and Russia, and it's chasing the cold weather towards Russia, and so they're moving south. And you know what's going on with Ukraine. When is the next blood moon total lunar eclipse, according to Forbes? And it will be March 14th again of 2025, then September 7th of 2025, then March 3rd of 2026, then in 2028 and 2029 and 2029 again. They come in 3-packs usually. It's very rare for them to be in 4-packs, especially on Passover, Sukkot, like Mark Spilz found years ago. Then other issues that are happening right now, you'll notice that the weather will be warmer up in the stratosphere. You'll also notice more radiation and issues. So if you're flying, this is not a great time to fly. And so you'll also notice the proton levels increase during these time frames. So expect surging proton levels. As all of this matters as we get closer to the return of Yeshua. There will be times when you'll need to run to a cave and run out, and so you have to be mobile, okay? These are signs during the 6th seal. Keep in mind with Revelation that there won't be anybody arguing flat earth, because 1/3 of the earth is always exposed at all times, and you notice the 4 trumpets are all taking out 1/3 of the earth. So there's no flat earth, okay? You already know that anyway, but when you see 1/3 of the earth taken out, it's because that's what's exposed to the sun and other debris, okay? So more people will suffer and die. Just get used to it. Okay, and so this is another, this is February 19th from Suspicious Observers and Ben, just talking about the radiation, yeah, and more protons. Okay, more from Ben. We will have technology issues, weather issues, health issues, seismic issues today, the 19th of February. Then we will also see eventually major extinctions, impactors from air bursts, glaciation. We'll have glacier issues, magnetic reversal, nova isotopes. So once again, micronova is expected at the black, followed by the dust. And so you might notice more of the meteorite impacts and things like that. So just the scorching micronova will be palpable. Just be prepared for that. The other thing is I put a note on the right-hand side. The sign of the end is not, say, the mark of the beast is not Sunday worship, and it's. I'm a Sabbath keeper, obviously, but I'm not pushing that. You worship whenever you can. So once again, you'll see the magnetic poles moving. You'll see all sorts of signs and things like that. Increased radiation risks, increased earthquakes, pink aurora, which was serious, mental instability, food chain disruptions, electrical and tech disruptions, water evaporation, less water issues, increased space debris penetration, animal migration, confusion, unsafe airspeed travels, and things like that. And the wealthy are going to hide. Get used to it. And then also, there are other people out there pushing that the sixth seal occurred in 1755 through 1833, as we mentioned with the meteor shower. No, they're wrong. The Lisbon earthquake of 1755 is not the sixth seal. The darkness and the blood moon didn't occur during that time frame. So the SDAs are wrong, and their Sunday law is wrong too. It's not the mark of the beast. So they're going to be wrong many different ways. So keep in mind you want to read things and actually have it observable in your time. Okay. Other people that are wrong, smart guys, Doug, a friend of mine, and Antonio, are both Messianic pastors. They're chiastic. They want everything to match up chiastically in Revelation. That, yeah, sure, that's like songs are chiastic too. So what? Their system is the seals open up over the trumpets, open up over the bowls. That's chaos. That's silly chaos. Okay, and the reason why they're wrong in terms of the sixth seal is basically the sixth bowl, the same time frame, is because in the sixth seal, the earth's kings, the rulers, the generals, the rich, the mighty, indeed everyone, slave and free, hid themselves in the caves and among the rocks and the mountains. That's 6:15. So they're going down to hide. Well, technically, then in Revelation 19, God says, no, all you kings, all you wealthy people, everybody, the same basic people, I'm going to gather you together to do battle. So they can't be in both places at the same time. So obviously my theory that it's linear is more logical because the kings and the rulers can't be in the caves and out on the field of battle at the same time. And it's Revelation 19, 17 through 19. So they're either down below or up above. They can't be both. The linear idea always works. It always works, okay? So what are we waiting for? We're waiting for God to wed us. It's a wedding. It could be on Rosh Hashanah. It could be on Yom Kippur. It could be during Sukkot. What garments will you wear? It's a wedding. You want clean garments. That's the blood of Yeshua. You want that. So be blessed. Thank you very much for your time. And now you know more about the sixth seal. Take care. Bye-bye.